Muito obrigada, Marina. Agora a gente já vai dar início à próxima sessão. Eu sou a Pamela, do GIFE, analista de desenvolvimento institucional, e a próxima sessão é avaliação por um investimento social mais transformador. Nós teremos como moderadora a Ana Lima e como palestrante a Tessi Katsambas. Apenas alguns recados. Todo mundo, por favor, quem ainda não tiver baixado o aplicativo, tem que baixar, porque a gente vai ter algumas interações nessa mesa com o aplicativo. Se alguém tiver alguma dúvida de como fazer, a gente vai projetar como faz direitinho, e a produção também pode passar nas mesas explicando. E outro recado é que, após essa sessão, a gente tem um coffee na área de convivência, a partir das 16h30, e depois a gente também convida todo mundo a ficar na programação aberta, que se inicia em seguida. Então, agora, eu passo a palavra para a Ana Lima. Obrigada, gente. Boa sessão.
Boa tarde, gente, todos, todas. Difícil falar, né, depois de uma coisa tão empolgante assim, mas eu acho que tem um link do que foi falado agora para o que a gente vai falar na sequência, que é essa coisa de como é que não basta querer fazer o bem, mas tem que fazer o bem da melhor maneira possível, né? Alocar os recursos do jeito com a melhor qualidade possível, e para isso a gente necessita de um conjunto de conhecimentos, expertises, e principalmente de um conjunto de diálogos que não são, às vezes, fáceis, né? Essa é uma mesa, teoricamente, sobre avaliação, mas acho que ela é uma mesa sobre muito mais do que avaliação. Como se a gente olha para a avaliação do ponto de vista estratégico, como cada um de nós, nos diferentes lugares onde está, né, seja na gestão de um programa, seja na ponta, atuando com a implementação do programa na ponta, seja como parceiro de implementação, seja como especialista de avaliação, seja como gestor de uma organização que tem que tomar as decisões importantes aí sobre a estratégia de atuação da organização, pode usar o que vem de uma avaliação de uma maneira que, de fato, faça diferença na tomada de decisões. Essa fala, essa sessão de hoje, é mais uma das iniciativas que tem a ver com o GIFE apostando nessa agenda de avaliação para fortalecer esse investimento consistente, planejado, racional e otimizado, e apoiado por 3 organizações, Fundação Roberto Marinho, Itaú Social e Instituto CIA, que vem impulsionando essa agenda junto ao GIFE já há alguns anos. Eu tive o privilégio de me envolver com essa agenda, coordenando o ciclo de avaliação que a gente fez, de encontros sobre avaliação que a gente fez no ano passado. Fizemos uma mesa ontem no Congresso, na parte aberta do Congresso, que bombou, foi muito gostosa, muito legal. E acho que agora a gente vai continuar dando força para esse tema, trazendo para conversar com a gente a Tessi Katsambas. Tessi é uma avaliadora muita experiência, que atua nos Estados Unidos. Ela é presidente da Associação Americana de Avaliação, que a gente morre de inveja. Eles fazem congresso com 6.000 avaliadores. É uma doideira, a gente mal consegue reunir aqui os 150 dessa sala. Mas, enfim, a gente tem muito que aprender com ela, não só e por isso a escolha da Tessi, que a ideia não é falar sobre avaliação do ponto de vista metodológico, e sim sobre como usar a avaliação de uma maneira mais estratégica, que ajude de fato, apoie de fato uma boa tomada de decisão. A gente pensou numa sessão interativa, tem tradução lá fora para alguém, se alguém achar que prefere. Então eu chamo com vocês agora Tessi Katsambas, por favor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very excited to be here with you. And very excited to be talking about evaluation and evaluative thinking and how that can become a strategy for you to be most impactful in this work that you're doing, the most important work in the world. But before I even begin, let me just get a sense of the room. Who in here knows not too much about evaluation? Not too much. Okay. Who here knows some things about evaluation? All right. And who knows quite a bit about evaluation? Okay, can you please stand up? Because I just want to recognize those people who know a lot about evaluation. I just want to recognize the talent that's in the room. Okay, don't be shy. I see you're not standing up. Thank you. So just know these people are resources that you may already know, but if you didn't, you have some wonderful resources here in Brazil. And I have been very fortunate to work with Ana Lima as I was preparing for today. So my methodology today is to show you a framework and to have you work through 5 things that we're going to do together, and then to think about how useful you found that in the end. So without further ado, let's focus on the purpose. Good evaluation always starts with a purpose. And the purpose today is for us to think about how do we create more sustainable development. In 2015, all countries in the world signed the Sustainable Development Goals. And those are my assumptions. Is everyone, who here is familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals? Okay, so I'm speaking to the choir, which is great. And my premise in the Sustainable Development Goals is that around sustainable development is that really there are 2 things that need to happen that are within the power of this group. The first thing is we have to design projects for sustainability. We have to think through all the pieces. But that's not enough. We also have to manage projects so that they are sustainable. And those are choices we make along the way. And by sustainable, what I really mean is where the benefits of those programs, the strengthened systems, continue to flow to people who need to be served. So as simple as that. So what can evaluation do? First of all, it can help you design projects that are better designed for sustainability. And secondly, it can help you manage those projects in a way that they continue to adjust in our very complex world to become sustainable. And so those are the 2 components of sustainability. And when I say programs, I also mean interventions, all of the kinds of interventions that you are involved in, whether it's advocacy for policy change or actual benefits that you provide through your work. Okay, so what can evaluation really contribute? Now, evaluation can contribute a lot, but I will not talk about all of those things, so do not get alarmed. There are many tools and ways that evaluation can help you, and that is why it's helpful to have evaluation professionals. But I will just focus today on 5 things. So, the first item, evaluation can help everyone clarify the goal and the path. And one of the things about development work, this kind of work, is that none of us in this room can achieve the goals that we're targeting alone. So we always have to think about contribution. And good evaluation helps us be clear about the contribution that everyone can make to the common agenda. And so we're going to go through a model for that and practice it a little bit. Secondly, whoever can interpret the facts controls reality in some ways and creates reality. And so it is the responsibility of people in this room to be part of that dialogue, to enable those who are silent to be part of that dialogue. So this isn't just about statistics or kind of cold math. This is about creating reality. And so we're going to practice a little bit about that. And when the social sector can create shared understanding of these facts, it can be really powerful in the voice that it brings to society and in the kind of actions that it enables. Okay, the third thing we're going to cover is how evaluation ensures high-performing interventions. So that's self-explanatory. We all want to be more effective. We want to reach people better. Great. If evaluation can help us learn how to do that better, it will be a useful strategy for you. Number 4, we all know from a lot of the research, especially some of the most recent fashionable research on stress and psychology, how hard it is to maintain the path. And I'm from Greece, so ancient Greeks say it's much harder to maintain than to create. When you create, everyone's excited, putting the extra effort, but to maintain the path, to keep making those adjustments is a little harder. And evaluation can help you. I'm going to show you one small model, a little dashboard on that. And finally, a critical task for this group is to pursue the most promising strategies. And for that, again, there is some learning, and evaluation can be most helpful for how to do that. So if I could convince you that evaluation can do these things, that would be a pretty good thing. You would all be fans of evaluation, right? Okay. So well, in 2014, I had a whole workshop on this topic, but today I'm just going to demonstrate it for you. And what I will do to demonstrate this clarity on contributions to the common agenda is I will show you a framework and an example, and then we're going to have some conversations at tables using that framework. So just be prepared that that's the purpose. And I'll pause and take any questions to make sure that people are clear on what we're doing. So let's imagine a small NGO in Rio de Janeiro. And this NGO is working in favela schools. And if you talk to people there, the high-level outcomes that it's targeting is empowerment through education and communication. But you say to them, okay, what do you really mean? That's this huge goal, right? Okay, and they say, what we really mean is we want students to complete their school education. We don't want them to drop out. We want schools to be peaceful environments for students, and we want increased funding for school programs. So right there, that's some good help, narrowing down the goal. And so we ask them, what do you do to achieve that? When we ask that question, we're really asking, what's in your control? What is it that you do every day, all right? So let's put that at the bottom. So what you do every day, what this group does, is they produce materials to educate others about their programs. They conduct campaigns to raise awareness and to raise money. They train social workers and students in the kind of programs that they want to promote peaceful schools. And they establish partnerships with communities and schools. That's what they tell you. So evaluation then asks, what is it that transforms these activities into these strategic goals that are laid out here, or into these desirable outcomes? And in this particular model, because we are really looking to explore contribution, we want to understand who the other actors are, who the partners are. Because as we said earlier, in this work of social development, there is pretty much nothing that we can achieve alone. So if we ask the organization, again, this doesn't have to be it, but this is one answer, and each organization will give its own answer. So it says schools. The association, our association is an enabling partner for us. Student unions, because we want to have a good relationship with students. Foundations in Brazil, and also international funders, and of course the municipality of Rio de Janeiro, because we work there. So now evaluation will push you one more step and say, okay, great. Now clarify for me, what exactly do you want these partners to do in order to be on your path of achieving these goals? And please describe to me, that particular change. And you're not going to do this on a piece of paper. You're going to do this in partnership, sitting down with these partners. And in this example, we have some specific influence goals that the organization is putting forth on this path? Well, in schools, we want them to be receptive to these mediation programs and to offer them. In terms of our association, we want them to advocate for student rights. That is the most important thing. There could be many things, but we are not going to pick many things because we're not going to do anything. We're going to pick the strategic important things. Students' unions, we want to experiment and innovate with students participating in public policy decisions. In terms of Brazilian foundations and international partners, we want them to do two things. We want them to put money into these programs, but we recognize it's a complex system. We also want them to fund complementary activities with families, communities, parents. We want them to fix the stadium or the park down the street so students have a good place to go and socialize, etc. And from the municipality, we need a little bit of maybe money, and maybe we also need some permissions. So we've clarified some of these intermediate outcomes. Now this becomes, of course we're not done, it's the beginning, but it becomes a layout that clarifies the specific things that everyone is going to do that are, as a design, synergistic, and that we can now measure in evaluation. We can measure them in the beginning, we can measure them in the short term, and we can also get feedback from these different partners. We can go down to the activities and measure how well we do those, but we have a nice context because we know what we're trying to achieve. And then together we would be able to learn to what extent are we on the path, what are the things that are contributing to us being on the path, and what are the things that we might improve. So I want us to try this out, and I will tell you the activity, and then you can ask me any questions. So you have on your tables one handout per table that has this format, just so it's in front of you. And it's just a blank format. But at the top, we have the topic of the conference. Why? Because we are all working together, and we're talking about how we work together in this goal, towards this goal. And what I would like you to do, I'm going to put up the next slide with the questions. You also have the questions, and then I can leave up whichever slide is more helpful. But here's what I would like to do. First of all, this is an opportunity for you, of course, to network, and you've been doing it informally, which is fantastic. But introduce yourselves at your table and what organization you're from. And then you're welcome to think alone for a moment about the answers, but then have a conversation around these two questions. In what ways does your work support democracy and sustainable programs? And if I can go back, can I? Oh, it did go back. Okay. So that goes into one of the gray boxes up here. Do I have a pointer? Okay. Right there. So you will obviously, you may have 5 ideas around the table, but it would be interesting to just kind of talk about what are those big blocks? Because you know, if we focus on the right thing, it matters. There's actually, do you know the story about the time management consultant? So there was this time management consultant, went into an organization and said, okay, let me demonstrate for you what good time management is. And the time management consultant got out an empty bucket and a bag of rocks. She put the rocks in the bucket, and they came up to the top. So she said to people, is the bucket full? People said, yeah, looks full. Then she took out a bag of gravel and pebbles and poured that into the bucket, and of course it fit. So she said, is this bucket full? People said, well, they knew it was a trick now. Well, we're not sure. What else are you doing? She took out a bag of sand, put it in, and it fit. And then she took a glass of water and poured that in, and it fit too. And she said, what is the meaning of this exercise? So people said, well, no matter how busy you are, you can always fit in a little bit more. And she said, no, the message is that if you didn't put the rocks first, they wouldn't fit, and the rocks are your priorities, so put them in first. So in this first question, I want you to think about the rocks. What has to go in first on the path to democracy, inclusive democracy, and sustainable development? And then the second question is, what is one organization who is a key partner in this? This organization can be part of GIFE or not part of GIFE. Just what is one important organization, and what exactly would you like this organization to do? So if you had a specific goal that's either an advocacy goal for the organization or a partnership behavior, please describe it in some detail. So is everyone clear on the task? Okay, and we also have Anna and some friends who can go around and make sure. So I want to give you 15 minutes to have a conversation at the tables around I'm going to put the questions up, and then you have the framework in front of you as well. So I'm afraid that we're going to leave the conversation in the middle because this is obviously a demonstration, not the full conversation. But it would be very useful to hear about some of your conversations. So I'm going to pick the team that's going to break the ice, and then I would like to have just a few more volunteers. So let's have the microphone to this table here in the front, and tell us, what did you talk about? What was the big goal? Let me go back. The big goal, and then the partner and the enabling actions.
Em português? Sim? Tá. Bom, a gente compartilhou aqui as experiências das diferentes instituições, né? E da minha parte, que acho que a mesa achou interessante, a instituição que eu faço parte é uma ONG, né, uma associação voltada para apoiar a gestão pública, em especial fazendo uma ponte entre a gestão pública e a produção de conhecimento acadêmico, técnico-científico, com o objetivo de fortalecer políticas públicas, né? Então, em termos de grandes entregas, né, de o que é o fundamental para a gente que aconteça, é a construção de políticas públicas que estejam mais conectadas com demandas da população, então que elas sejam atendam reais necessidades, né, elas estejam alinhadas com o que o povo brasileiro precisa. Para isso, que elas consigam também alcançar um maior grau de efetividade, então que elas consigam entregar o que precisa ser entregue. E um terceiro ponto, que elas consigam fazer isso de forma eficiente, então com economia de recurso e com celeridade, né, e possibilidade de reprodução e de escalabilidade. Com relação a atores relevantes, né, e que tipo de necessidade a gente tem com relação a eles, o principal ator para a gente é o Estado, né, o foco é a construção de política pública, então que o Estado possa abraçar esse tipo de iniciativa, esse tipo de cultura. Na verdade, a nossa missão é que essa cultura seja incorporada pelo Estado brasileiro. O dia que isso acontecer, a gente pode deixar de existir, né, vai ser redundante. Então, que o Estado se sensibilize para esse tipo de debate, que ainda é um debate relativamente novo, e, a partir daí, possa incorporar essa reflexão para dentro de si e transformar as políticas públicas de forma orgânica, né?
Thank you. Thank you. Great example. So, and a very useful link between your actions and what I appreciated especially is that you talked about your the outcomes, the partner outcomes in terms of sustainability, which is great. Kind of working ourselves out of a job. Another example? Don't be shy. Come on, yes. Here. Okay, here and then there.
A gente destacou a importância da criação de espaços de diálogo e de participação nos territórios de atuação, buscando sempre a cooperação intersetorial, a colaboração e a promoção dos valores e princípios democráticos. Tentei aqui dar uma... E os atores fundamentais aí para as organizações, né, fundamentais para que isso ocorra, são as próprias organizações de base, né, que estão presentes nesses territórios e que fazem acontecer. E também os próprios aparelhos públicos, né, que também estão presentes nessa cooperação intersetorial. Então, seria as comunidades de base, organizações de base e os aparelhos públicos.
Thank you. And that's a great example. Actually, the topic is very close to my heart. But it's a great example for how you can have a goal up at the top that is about values. It's something which is something that sometimes is a little amorphous or everybody needs to define, but then you're able to take it down to what are the concrete things that need to happen. And if we're working together, I would start to push you even more, because you said some things about the partner level, but I will push you to say, so what do you want them to do? Because it's not enough to say, oh, I want them to embrace these values. You have to break it down to some intermediate steps that are strategic and that you believe are going to lead us on the path. So that's a very helpful conversation between the evaluator and the program people. So thank you, that's a great example. Yes.
Olá, boa tarde. Eu me chamo Fábio. Estiveram aqui na conversa junto comigo o Marcelo, a Clarice e a Cissa. E a gente trouxe, então, como grandes metas a questão do fortalecimento da sociedade civil e dos elos de confiança entre esses atores interinstitucionais, a questão de uma proposição da revisão do sistema de justiça, dos modelos do sistema de justiça, e a questão do engajamento cívico e cidadão das pessoas para a participação no processo democrático. Como parceiros, a gente indicou o próprio Ministério Público e a Defensoria, atuando numa perspectiva de advocacy, as entidades representativas, como GIFE, etos, pensando nessas conexões de ações em agendas comuns, as escolas públicas, ou seja, como é que a gente pode conectar isso tudo aos conteúdos curriculares, os atores privados, especialmente startups, onde possam pensar em novas tecnologias para estimular uma participação e fazer uma democracia mais participativa, os movimentos sociais, ou seja, como é que a gente traz para esse conjunto o que os movimentos sociais também contribuem nessa discussão, e também as instâncias de controle social, já que no Brasil a gente tem uma série de conselhos onde a gente pode acompanhar os indicadores e a eficácia dessa ação.
So I love clients like you because you want to conquer the world. Huh? I mean, what you just said is not one thing. It's huge. So we'll just begin this conversation of, okay, you want technology to enable participation. To me, that is just one of these things, of the maybe 10 that you mentioned. So I would say, okay, you want to enable participation with technology. Where? Who? What? And I'm hoping that we can see already that this is a helpful dialogue between evaluation and the people who are doing the work and the people who are dreaming up the work. Because if we stay at that broader level and just kind of have a mishmash of activities that look promising, sound sexy, are good to put in reports, we are not going to be systematic in coordinating everyone. And so this is a great beginning of a conversation. And it's helpful to embrace your evaluators here in Brazil to be able to help move down the road of creating something more concrete, systematic, measurable. Okay, so that is the first tool. Now, the second thing that I'm going to talk about is facts. And facts are very fashionable in the news, huh? We now talk about alternative facts. I don't know if you talk about them here in Brazil, but in the United States and in many other parts, we talk about them. So, for this, I'm going to give you I'm just going to demonstrate it with an exercise with you. I'm going to give you two little case studies, and the first one is about this country called Azardia. And so in Azardia, they've had a problem, a high problem with human trafficking, women, girls, and boys. So since 2010 in this country, NGOs have been very active, conducting campaigns in schools and villages, sensitizing parents in order to prevent it. They've also been working on the other end, trying to advocate for rescuing people and who have been trafficked and supporting their reentry into society. So when we started working with them in the real country of Azardia, in 2013, they decided to organize as a movement. They decided the lessons from the previous discussion on contribution analysis were important, that if they could work together, they could give a sense of the problem in the whole country, and they would also have a louder voice and more examples, and they would be credible with the Institute of Migration, that is an important partner for them. So they did that. They articulated their strategy, and we used evaluation and began actually some of their negotiation and advocacy work with the government, the police, and also the municipal governments, which are very important there. And then the statistics came out that between 2013, this is a small country, and 2014, the number of women trafficked increased from 100 to 135. They were devastated. But then the question really to you is this good news or bad news? And so this is programmed in the app because we're going to be voting. And I think does everybody have the app here? So it's programmed in this session as one of there are 3 questions programmed as a survey, and this is the first one. So here's the question. What does this mean? Number 1, the NGO efforts have not been successful, and the problem is getting worse. Number 2, the police is doing a better job in identifying cases. Number 3, traffickers began targeting new villages, and now that's why the numbers are up. Number 4, we don't know. So I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to talk at your tables about which one is the right answer, and then we're going to vote. You can vote individually, or you can vote with a friend if it's too scary, okay?
Só chamando a atenção para o aplicativo, todo mundo tem. Aí tem que entrar na seção. O aplicativo chama Attendify, A-T-T-E-N-D-I-T-Y. Não, D-I-T, Attendify. Aí tem que entrar na sessão, que é a sessão de avaliação das 14h30. Dentro dela tem um linkzinho para 3 pesquisas. Só que reparem, por favor, que está na ordem inversa. A primeira pergunta que aparece é a pergunta 3. A gente quer ir para a pergunta 1. Alguém já achou aí? Está todo mundo perdido? Beleza? Então é a resposta da pergunta 1, tá? Não é a primeira que aparece, é a terceira que aparece.
We will vote in 1 minute. Not yet. Okay, cast your votes. If anybody, some people are already voting, so just cast your votes so we can broadcast the results. Okay. Okay. So a lot of I don't know, we don't know. So who voted for A? Who voted for A, that this is bad news? The NGOs are not doing so well. Why would that happen? I want to hear what would be a reason that would lead you to that conclusion. All right, now that it's too few votes, nobody wants to take credit for that, huh? Okay. But I will, okay. Who voted for number 2? Okay, so I want to hear, let me hear from you. Why you thought it was number 2?
Bom, baseado, claro que a gente tem poucos dados aqui para avaliar, foi até contestado aqui para a colega de mesa, mas baseado em vários outros casos sobre projetos de melhoria, né, de prevenção à criminalidade, um dos primeiros resultados é o aumento dos registros dos casos, né, as pessoas em si melhorando o sistema criminal, né, das polícias, etc., melhora o sistema de registros. Então, acontece, é normal acontecer isso, né, então, é baseado em fatos anteriores. Isso vem acontecendo em outros programas também. Claro que a gente não tem dados aqui nessas linhas para afirmar, que foi a contestação aqui da colega.
Thank you. And you point out to something very important, which is what could have made A the right answer, which is that I deliberately, in the background of this story, said that they had just started. So in evaluation, you'd need to know something about the research, which is not the evaluation you're doing, but you know something about the research of the work that you're involved in. And we do know that when programs are in early stages, identifying a problem that was either stigmatized or under the rug, and it could be for a whole variety of cases, the first thing that happens is you see more of it. So that's a good suspicion, that's a good guess for us to suspect that maybe it's because people are doing their job better in the police and they're coordinating and the media is paying attention to this issue, that we see all of a sudden that it's more present. Now, if this were a mature program that had been going on for a long time, and all of a sudden we see this, we start to worry that something else is going on. And it could be C, that there's some new area that's being now mined, whether it's for trafficking or drugs or other kinds of stigmatization or issues. And so we would suspect, we would want to research that. Or we would want to look at the organization of NGOs and whether something's changed in their commitment or their funding or something else. So in truth, we don't know yet, but we have some suspicions. And if we don't say anything, and the media is very well-meaning about social issues, and they like sensational stories, but it's very possible that the story that would get shared is, this initiative just started and failed. And all of a sudden, we are really, if we don't pay attention, if we are not in charge of this evaluative piece, we run the risk that we are going to not protect the people we want to protect. We're going to kill this initiative or create a negative view of it early on. And the other thing is that because we are biased to wanting good news, and we fear having bad news because we are afraid that the boss is going to be unhappy, sometimes the bad news may be good news, or the bad news helps us to understand where we are on the path. So very helpful to see that. Let's just do one more case. Okay. Oh, I need the PowerPoint back, sorry. So we're going to go to a province in a big country. And this is the province of Bimenia. In this province, unlike the rest of the country, there's a high HIV/AIDS prevalence. And one of its strategies was to develop, because it's happening early on, to develop a curriculum for schools and to send it to the whole province, cover the whole province. So this curriculum, this province is very proud of it because it has many indigenous people and it's tailored. they were very much part of developing it. But the municipal secretary of education is responsible to get the curriculum out, but they had an outside funder. So the outside funder, this big foundation, said, we know it's going to take us about 2 years to see the results, distributing the curriculum, having it, the teachers trained and having it operational, and we want to have an evaluation. And so they began in the first year, and then as we approach the end of the 2-year period, we have a bit of a disappointment. The evaluation showed no impact at all. Students didn't seem to know very much about it, even intermediate impact. And I'm not talking about prevalence yet, even intermediate impact. So what happened with that? What could this mean? Okay, so again, evaluation results at the end, towards the end of the 2-year period are showing no impact. So what should the funder do? Number 1, investigate further. Number 2, discontinue the program. Obviously, it doesn't work. Number 3, request the redesign of the curriculum from the ministry, because this adaptation obviously didn't work. Number 4, extend the program for 2 more years and keep trying. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to think about your choice of answer, and then we're going to vote the same way in the system. Okay, let's vote. And let's see the votes. Okay, so a lot of investigate further. No one wants to discontinue the program. A few people want to request a redesign. And a significant number want to extend the program. So this is very, very interesting. I will just tell you what happened. What happened is we were the company doing the evaluation, and so we believe in mixed methods, that you have to bring the voices of the people in. And what surprised us is that several schools were reporting that they had not received the curriculum. So we then followed that path and found that all these curricula were stuck in midway posts. In these years, they had never made it to the schools. We wish there were monitoring of this program, because we wouldn't have wasted all this time. The funder was ready to discontinue the program, and we did kind of an emergency presentation that was not planned to share the results with them, these additional results, and to say, you know, you don't know what's happened, you don't know the curriculum doesn't work, you don't know that it works, you don't know anything, because it hasn't even happened. And so they extended the program for 2 years and put in a very strong monitoring plan, which comes next, in two more points in this discussion today, how important it is to have that in order to stay the path. But basically, this is a real situation. You face getting results all the time, and you have to make meaning of them and have different ways to do that. So, and you can see how the way you see this information can trigger so many different decisions, opposing decisions. Okay, next, I want the PowerPoint back. So the next point is a continuation of this issue of facts, but it's kind of complicating the picture further. So I'm gonna show you how, an example of how evaluation can really help to assure high-performing interventions. Obviously, it can do this with the first thing we talked about, the design, and it can do this by helping you to interpret evaluation results. But let's look at a slightly different case for this, and this is the third and last little survey. This is the country of Zaron. It's a big, complex country with lots of problems, and one of them is that it had extremely low literacy. So in 2013, with support from a major funder, Zeron launched an ambitious literacy program in elementary education, very organized with teacher testing and student testing. And this was a five-year project, and the funder commissioned a 5-year impact evaluation. We gathered data in the beginning, the baseline. We were going to gather data on year 3, and then data at the end. So in year 2, the implementing organization, not we, the implementing organization, started to see some problems in implementation. There were some constraints and some issues. And they had some concerns in communities. There were some obstacles, especially around the role of parent groups. It seemed to work really well in some cases, really poorly in other cases. And they started to see some of these complications, and they were worried about their results. So the question is, your advice, to the implementer. They're seeing that they have some issues, some big issues. What should the implementer do about that? Number one, the implementer should hide the problems from the evaluation team. Just let them do their job, they're there. Number two, the implementer should explain that this is a ministry problem. These schools and how they operate in communities is a ministry problem, it's not their problem. So be ready to have that excuse, that reason. Number three, the implementer should ask the evaluation team to study the top emerging problems. Should say, evaluation is our partner, and they're going to help us learn. Number four, the implementer should do nothing. Just carry on. So, just 1 minute, think about your choice, and we're going to vote. Okay, let's see the evaluation results. Please cast your votes if you haven't. Okay, you're just saying that because I'm here. I know it. So in this case, actually, the implementer did discuss it with us, and we proposed to repurpose some of the money for evaluation and to do a qualitative study with site visits. And it was so helpful because we were able to help the team, the implementing team, really understand some of the dynamics. And even by paying attention to it, communities felt very excited to be included in this learning process, and the result was a much better adaptation to the implementation process. And they ended up really appreciating this partnership so much that they asked us for year number 4. Remember, we are operational number 1, number 3, and number 5. So year number 3, we did this qualitative study. Year number 4, we were asked to do some examples of excellence, some case studies where schools had done a particularly good job, and to analyze the reasons. Because one of the approaches that we really believe in is studying and analyzing successful examples as a way to learn and for the community then to engage in how to create more of that excellence elsewhere. So evaluation does not have to be the enemy, even when it is revealing some, very difficult issues. So let's get the PowerPoint back. Okay, so let's stay on the path. For this one, I'm just going to show you quickly one page of a dashboard that we created for a board of a foundation in the United States, just as one example of how you might pull things together. I don't want to, this you already all know, you already have a lot of this information, but the issue is putting it in a systematic place with a habit of looking at it. So this particular dashboard has, the goal 1 out of this dashboard is to engage in more large-scale, high-quality programs in order to increase the breadth and depth of impact. So this is what this funder wanted. And so in consultation with them, of course, they like to see on the top left the actual versus the actual for last year and then the mid-year for this year of the distribution of projects by size. They want to see that their average project is getting bigger. Then they want to see the number of projects that are bigger, that are getting a gold star. They have their internal way of determining quality. Then I think this little chart, you could even just have this chart on the far side at the top here, because what it has is the distribution. You can see there are many small projects and few large. And this distribution, this greenish line, is the desired distribution. So they can really see how they're doing. And the blue is last year, and the red is this year. So they're already starting to do a little bit better. And here, they track some relevant context things, elements. One is the number of countries they're working in, because they realize if they're in many, many countries, they're going to be fragmented. So here. And this is country offices where they actually have presence. And this is the distribution of projects by value and by region, and this one is by topic, by sector. So this is a dashboard for a high-level group that decides every month. They know that they're tracking this particular goal. So it's a really good habit for you to decide, based on your plans, what are the things that you're going to look at. Because I think especially people who are activists, who are trying to change the world, we are so busy doing and solving and being out there that we think, okay, someone else is going to look at that, and we get carried away. But if we just have a habit of looking periodically, we'll be able to say, you know, we want to create greater impact and we want bigger projects, but, you know, are we moving in this direction, and what's going on? So it's a very helpful activity. So the final thing that we are supposed to do is make better choices. And making better choices may require a slightly different kind of evaluation, because, or some slightly different questions, because we're not saying just looking internally in our intervention. We are thinking more broadly. We are saying, what are the most promising strategies to achieve that big, dark rock, the big rock, you know? What are the different options? So I want to tell you a story of how we almost got into trouble. UNAIDS has developed maybe 12 years ago a program, an IT system that you could download, countries could download, and they would be able to track activities throughout the country in all sectors. And that was particularly important for countries that had, you know, 40% prevalence. So this was a global program. Another element that was very important is that it was country-owned. The country could adapt this program. Whereas there were some other things some other activities that exist in this area that are not country-owned, where the countries have to do what the donor says and track what the donor says. And so then UNAIDS commissioned an evaluation of this program after it was improved 3 times. So this program is called CRIS, you know, Country Response Information System. So they commissioned us. But before we even started, we saw that there was a big, violent debate going on. One side was saying, kill the program. We don't want it anymore. We're not supposed to be in this business. Remember the question, is this the right strategy of all the options? They're saying, no, we should be out of this business. And the other half were saying, improve the program, make it better. People appreciate it. We want to provide better support for the program. And so we knew that we could not answer this question, but maybe we could inform this question. So what was behind these perspectives? Both sides wanted the same goal, you know, in terms of HIV, but really disagreed on strategy. So the people who wanted to kill the program, they were worried about budget and competing priorities. The people who wanted to support the program were worried about continuity, because it was already happening, and reputation, and then they thought that the countries using it were benefiting from it, so they had some issues with country needs. So what we did is we said, okay, if we back off and look at these assumptions, how can we help people? Oh, and I forgot one important thing. The people who were saying kill the program were also saying this program is way too expensive. And they were saying it in that, remember I was saying before the interpretation of facts? This program cost $1.25 million for the whole three-year period that we were looking at. So the word on the street, this is too expensive, too expensive. Well, is it? So we asked, is it? And let's just give these people who have the tough decision the best information that we can. And so we looked at this program as one possible strategy. And we always like to ask the stakeholders who don't have a voice, and in this case it was the countries. So we asked the countries, and then we also went outside the program and said, who else is doing this tracking work? And interestingly, we found a couple things. The first one is that actually 20 of the about 30 countries that could be using it were using it. So we were able to document why they were using it, in spite of all the issues and the mechanical problems that exist in these countries. And the second one, on other projects, this was the big surprise. In fact, this program was really cheap. Other donors were spending $1.6 million a year per country. And this program, for similar programs that were not even country-owned, that were imposed, and this program was $62,000 a year per country. So we studiously avoided giving a recommendation of a choice, but we said, if you stop the program, go to one of these donors who are spending $1.6 million a year per country and see if they can pick it up. Create an exit strategy, because indeed, countries are using it. We're not going to tell you that you have to be in this business, but you need to have the information. So in a similar way, if you structure good questions in your evaluations, because we all know answering questions costs money. So don't ask something don't say, oh, it would be interesting to know. No, 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 no. You have to know what you want to do with the information. So if you have a decision like this, evaluation is a really good strategy to assess, to benchmark, and then to look at the needs of people, to organize that by stakeholder, and to have conversations. So at its best, evaluation helps you to have really useful conversations that will make you smarter. So as we think about the path that we've traversed today on clarifying the common agenda and interpreting facts and creating reality, I would say, in that sense, ensuring effective interventions, staying on the path, and making good choices in strategy. What are some of the most promising ideas that you're left with today in terms of evaluation and the utility of evaluation in your work? What are some of the most promising ideas?
Eu acho que para mim isso consolida mais claramente uma coisa que, de uma certa maneira, eu já falo e já penso e já faço, mas como que a palavra avaliação, às vezes ela estigmatiza, meio se estigmatiza como sendo aquela coisa que mede se a outra coisa está funcionando ou não. E aqui acho que os exemplos que a Tessi traz, você está usando o pensamento avaliativo, né? Metodologia avaliativa, para responder coisas que às vezes não estão naquele campo que naturalmente a gente encaixa e chama como avaliação. Então, acho que traz uma coisa legal de pensar isso, que às vezes a gente não precisa só pensar em avaliação no sentido próprio e exato da avaliação, mas sempre nesse lado estratégico de como fazer boas perguntas que levarão a boas respostas, podem ser úteis em qualquer etapa do processo e em qualquer momento do programa.
Thank you. Yes.
Eu achei bastante interessante essa perspectiva do desenho da estratégia do programa até uma visão comparativa. E eu acho que aqui no Brasil a gente ainda tem pouca estudo de benchmarking e de comparação entre programas que atuam na mesma linha dentro do investimento social privado, até porque poucos têm avaliação e os indicadores, às vezes, variam muito. Então, como você constrói uma avaliação comparativa se você não tem indicadores comparáveis, né? Então, acho que essa é uma questão. No caso, você mostrou o valor por país, né? Óbvio que a gente não sabe a extensão dos programas, qual era, né? Um programa de 65 mil dólares, 69 mil dólares e o outro de 1,6 milhões. Não sei se os programas tinham o mesmo objetivo ou tinham a mesma estrutura, mas eu acho que esse tipo de comparação é bastante saudável para que a gente possa ter investimentos cada vez mais que gerem mais valor, no final das contas.
Well, and actually, there are some programs where this is happening in Brazil. For example, the Early Childhood Initiative that the Maria Cecilia, with more words after it, Foundation, de Salto Vegetal, I think, they are working on this program, and they, because it's a global program, and Brazil is part of a global program, there is a lot of comparative information. And more, there's more information across the BRIC countries. There's sometimes comparative information internally within a kind of intervention, like social impact investment. What makes social impact investment successful, not successful? So I agree with you, asking the question is very healthy, and sometimes you are surprised how much you might find. So, thank you. Other comments? Yes.
Tá bom. Mafuane, eu sou coordenadora de projetos do Instituto Avon e eu estou olhando nesse lado como investidora e pensando nessa relação. A gente falou um pouco também, Ana, aqui também rolou essa conversa engraçada de o que a gente responde oficialmente, o que de verdade acontece. Eu acho que tem, e aí pegando o gancho do que ele trouxe, tem um problema que a gente encara, é que a relação ainda entre as organizações que são financiadas e o financiador, ela é uma relação de mão única, de desconfiança. Então, as organizações ficam desconfiadas de trazer resultados que não são ditos como positivos e as organizações e os investidores ficam sempre com a sensação de que eles nunca são importantes a não ser o dinheiro. Então, quando a gente constrói um processo de avaliação dessa forma, como você trouxe, a gente parte de um ponto que é comum, e eu acho que isso é uma coisa interessante. A gente também, como a gente faz parte de uma... Também somos internacionais, a Avon é uma organização, uma empresa internacional, e a gente tem os escritórios locais, então, o que a gente fez foi exatamente alguns desses caminhos, então é interessante olhar. A gente olha para a violência contra a mulher e câncer de mama, são as nossas duas grandes causas. E aí o que a gente fez foi construir promessas globais. Então, para construir promessas globais, a gente foi construir um conhecimento compartilhado. Então, a gente pega os dados gerais que vão trazer qual a importância de fazer isso. E aí, quando você desdobra isso para os países, a forma com que a gente foi fazendo isso foi construir KPIs que são que são possíveis, mas que são desafiadores ao mesmo tempo, para tentar trazer isso para dentro das organizações, no sentido de construir. E um dos aprendizados que a gente teve foi números, que era também uma das demandas que a gente recebia, mas quais são os números? Quantos milhões a gente chegou? E aí a gente começou a perceber que as nossas contribuições não poderiam ser medidas aos milhões, porque o tipo de trabalho que a gente desenvolve não é mensurado dessa forma. Então, a avaliação nos ajudou também a diminuir a expectativa tanto do nosso board, quanto ajudar as organizações a dizer, está tudo bem. Se a gente não tiver números, a grande questão não é essa. A grande questão é, será que a gente está conseguindo fazer, de fato, as mulheres irem fazer mamografia? A gente está realmente trazendo mais informações, as pessoas estão entendendo o que é violência contra a mulher? A gente está conseguindo fazer as mulheres denunciarem mais a violência? E é exatamente isso que aconteceu. A gente começou a trabalhar, começou a aumentar os números. Pronto, a gente tem um problema. Aumentou os números de violência contra a mulher, a gente está fazendo tudo errado. Então, esse também foi um aprendizado. Então, muito legal, e eu acho que faz muito sentido, e também para reduzir expectativas ou redimensionar as expectativas. Então, muito bacana.
Thank you. And that's so important to understand what the goals are, because it sounds to me like one of the key goals for you was also learning, because you were starting an initiative. And it's okay not to have the big numbers. Thank you. Yes.
Tessi, primeiro, parabéns pela sua apresentação. Rogério Silva, eu acho que eu queria fazer um comentário breve, que é, você escolhe 3 casos que ilustram a potência e a necessidade de avaliações a partir de métodos mistos. Você, muito rapidamente, citou o conceito de métodos mistos, mas eu te pediria para falar um pouquinho mais sobre isso, tendo em vista que, no Brasil, a gente tem vivido uma certa polarização também, né, no campo da avaliação, com uma certa ideia excludente de que o quant é uma coisa, de que o quali é outra, de que os métodos experimentais são o gold standard e que o qualitativo é legalzinho, mas não é tão bom assim. Então, eu queria que você pudesse cobrir um pouquinho mais o conceito de métodos mistos, que eu acho que as ilustrações são muito ricas.
Gente, eu só vou fazer um pedido para a Tessi. Tessi, please.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Ela está me avisando que ela tem que transformar essa sala em 2 salas para daqui a 15 minutos. Então, vamos, em consideração a ela, wrap it up.
Yes.
E daí a gente corre e conversa com a Tessi lá fora. Tá?
So, absolutely. I mean, I think anymore we only work in mixed methods and then we also triangulate it in the end, where you see what you learn from the different methods. But basically, to put it very simply, qualitative evaluation helps you understand what questions are relevant and what's going on, and quantitative can help you to see how extensive things are. So, but if you don't do something qualitative first, you could be asking the absolute wrong things or interpreting things in the absolute wrong way. So I have just my concluding slide, that information is power, and evaluation that is transparent, inclusive, and participatory shares that power and enables everyone to participate in building the future. So I welcome our collaboration in evaluation that helps everyone speak out and build the future. Thank you.